So now we're going to fast forward since you say you started your church in 2005. So where did the transition go from? Was it from cathedral to starting your own church, or was there an in between?
Yeah, it was. I paused for like a year. I went to Pastor Miller's for a year. They wanted me to do some things in ministry, but I knew I wasn't. I knew what I was called to do. I was scared to do it, but I stepped out and I did it anyway. Right, I started in a basement. The next Sunday, I was at the rec, the Western Rec, and 40 people showed up. No social media back then, wasn't like it is now. And I don't know. I had white people in my church from Brown University, like 20 white kids coming every Sunday, and I'm like, this is weird. I said, what's this? And so for me, it was God breaking that prejudice off of me of what white people did to my dad and how I felt about cops and everything else. And I had some old saints, and they got up, started talking about people's lottery tickets. I had 2 police officers coming to my church then as well. The next Sunday, none of those white people were there, not even the police officers. And I was like, I didn't know how to find them or anything, and maybe like 2 years after that, this dude named Andrew Mook, his dad is a pastor in Kingston, right where Goddard Park is, that big church right across the street between the Goddard Park.
Yep.
Well off. He started a church right there in the hood. And me and him used to hang out, get coffee and just talk about ministry. And he told me why my church fell, because it was judgmental. He said, you're preaching judgmental. You're preaching hate, bro. And I said, really? He was like, you got to record your message and listen to it. And back then, I think we still had cassettes or something. I don't know. And I listened to my message and I cried. I'm like, that ain't even me. Like, what am I? I sound like a little so-and-so that, people, like, things put in me. And I'm like, this is not the gospel. This is badgery. This is telling people they're going to hell. They're living in sin like I knew them, And that was like a whole change for me. I changed everything. I used to be, that the back room in the rec. I used to have 120 people squeeze up in that room every Sunday. Then they would go out to the football game just to hear what I had to say. You know what I mean? Because I shifted and started preaching a different language. You know what I mean? And then I ended up on Cranston Street. And Cranston Street was more of a struggle because it was, a lot of junkies coming in, stuff like that. Everybody deserves church. I went through a lot on Cranston Street. I ended up opening a store on Cranston Street with my friend. It's just a lot of things happened there. I think I joined Full Gospel then, Paul Morton. I was with him for like maybe 3 or 4 years. I learned a lot. So I just started learning the balance of church, really how to do church, and I really wasn't asking nobody in Providence how to do church because I felt like what they're doing is not success, And so when we say, from the streets to the pulpit, I feel like I ain't made it to the pulpit because the streets is the pulpit. The moment we become the pulpit, we shift gears, we change, we forget where we come from, we abuse people, we rob people, and we forget, That's why I always say, never forget where you come from. And that's what preachers do. Not a lot of preachers in the street, A lot of preachers been in court though. Yeah.
That's real talk there.
That's real.
So where are we now? 2022, where are we?
2022, I am, I received the title of apostle maybe like 6 years ago. Title don't move me. The guy said, this is what I seen, and I said, okay. That comes with a lot of responsibility. But what I respected the most, I was standing there with a T-shirt on and sweatpants because I was late. I drove over to Brooklyn, New York. It took us 7 hours because of traffic, And I just stood there and I was like, and people say, how they gonna make you an apostle? Because it's not about what you wear. It's not about the collar. It's not about the robe. That's a Halloween costume. It's a
Church
joke.
can be a fashion show sometimes.
Yeah.
So they think.
And so prior to me, when I was transitioning, I knew my wife now. I knew her from the streets, and I was like, we wasn't into each other like that, but she was like, coming and like, I was real sick then. Her and Dennis was making sure I ate every day, stuff that my own people wasn't doing for me. And, in that process, people was like, oh, you got that, they call her Jezebel because she was in church befriending me. And I was like, she don't know what that means. Like, what y'all doing? Y'all invited her to church. So, through the process, people was like, oh, he's sleeping with her, or he's doing this, he's doing that. Now, mind you, I had kidney stones. You ever had kidney stones? Man,
like a man having a baby.
Let me tell you something. It's equivalent, and so her and Dennis every day. I wouldn't even eat the food, you know what I mean, because I was in so much pain.
Yeah,
but every day, and the people in the church is like, oh, I'm leaving this ministry because you're cheating on your wife and this and that. And I'm like, well, you just gonna all leave. When you leave, you ask God, am I cheating on my wife, or is my wife cheating on me?
Ooh.
So, in the interim, if I wanted to be a church dog, I could have did that for years, because I watched dudes do it. It's real easy, especially in the church, when you got a vulnerable young lady, broken, busted, or whatever, and you take advantage of her. You would take advantage of her marriage. You help her violate her marriage. I seen it all done. That's why they don't like me, because I know everything. But I never told on nobody.
Right.
That's my street. That's me being real. And why would I expose somebody like that, put their business on the street like that?
Right.
And so, it came to a point where it's like, I asked Marquise, I said, what you think about dating me? She said, absolutely not. You got to be kidding me.
Why she say that?
Because she felt like, y'all pastor, I'm just me. I'm work at Jovan's. You know what I mean? And it was just something about her, because we became friends. You know what I mean? So she turned me down. That was cool, and I just kept doing what I was doing. I asked her again. Same, absolutely not. And I was like, why? Because you're a pastor. You got a lot to lose. So then I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, real honestly, what do I have to lose?
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why the pastor can't date?
Let me tell you something.
Because I don't know the rules.
No, they probably
How
look
do
at
you-
the fact that, well,
I was still
she ain't in there jumping all around and doing like they think she should be doing.
like, people didn't know I was already divorced in 2011. I didn't even make it public. I would been divorced. You know what I mean? And I waited almost 5 years to even ask her. You know what I mean? And the church said what they wanted to say, but when my church took a split, it wasn't because I was interested in my wife. It was because the mean-spirited things that happened in the church that made people leave my church. But when I call the people to a meeting, let's confront this mean spirit. Nobody wanted to talk. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, then I'll put you on the spot. Like let's tell the whole truth here. Like, what's going on? And nobody wanted to talk. And I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. You know what I mean? And I went to counsel. I got counsel, from, a legitimate pastor that's been saved and good marriage. You know what I mean? And, he was like, follow the plan of God. If that's God's plan, that's what you do. You know what I mean? And, and because of who I grew up in church as, it was more like I was scared. I felt like if I get married again, like, yeah, right. I was scared getting divorced. You know what I mean? But I watched dudes do it like it's nothing. 5 women, 5 wives. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing. And I was just like, in the church, man, you'd be surprised, And so, as soon as we got married, I got sick. Like sick. So you know what the church says.
And what did they say?
Oh,
Let's just guess.
yes. It's like, oh, see, you out of the will of God. Look at you in the hospital dying. Listen, I said, no, I was 509 pounds from stress. You know what I mean? That I carried over from a previous situation, and only 2 people cared about me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, man, like if you want I felt like if she wants to get divorced, I'm fine. Like it's only been a couple months. You know what I mean? This lady stuck by me every day. He's probably tried to kick her out a few times. My kids wouldn't leave the hospital. My kids was there. See, it's one thing, your kids will tell the whole truth of what you're going through. So the end result, my kids was with me. I raised my kids by myself. You know what I mean? And my kids still, you know what I mean? So, people's like, oh, she don't qualify. She ain't no bishop's wife. I said, I ain't no bishop. I said, and I don't want no church girl.
What is a bishop's wife?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm not making her the assistant pastor like everybody else does. They make their wife. Why would you make your wife the assistant pastor? For what? Yeah. What if she wants to go to college? What if she wants to do other things and you tie her down to be your co-pastor? Where's that in the Bible? I just want to know where that's at. You know what I'm saying? So now your wife is your colleague. You know what I'm saying? I watch pastors battle with their wives because their wife made a decision because they're the assistant. They supposed to make a decision, which you put them in place. You know what I'm saying? And then the wife got to deal with all the drama that comes with church. She got to deal with the hoes in church that is trying to get her husband, and her husband wants to play.
Wait a minute, the what in church?
The hoes. They in church. You come to church. You come to church a hoe, a gangster.
There's some hoes in this house.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And how do they stay like that? Because the pastor or the leader is not preaching change. You know what I'm saying. I don't want to be a part of no church that doesn't preach to the family.
Right.
They don't have marriage ministry. Don't have church. I don't want to be at that church because it makes me feel like the pastor has a hidden agenda, like something's going on. I ain't judgmental, but I've seen enough where I could be judgmental.
Right.
I've seen enough. I'm taking a lot of stuff to the grave with me. You know what I mean?
But seriously, how did you deal with the backlash? Because for you to turn him down a couple of times and then finally say yeah, but then once you say yeah, now I'm sure it got turned up to 1,000, but you still hung in there. What was it that made you hang in there and know that, you know what, this is the one for me?
Because like he said in the beginning, as we were friends, and then when I came to church, I didn't come to church for people. I made a decision that I'm there for God. I wanted to take off my earrings. I wanted to, but I knew I was there for God, and I just couldn't pay attention to it because I know if I'm trying to go forward, I don't want to go back because I know what I can do.
Right, right. So when do you feel you finally started gaining the respect of the people?
I mean, I think as when they see me with him, I mean, I don't know if people respect me or they don't respect me. I'm just going to be not what they expecting to be as a first lady, because he didn't want a first lady. He wanted a wife. And that's what I am, his wife. And that's what wives do. But I do know how to take care of what I need to do, like as far as the church and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When people say first lady, I'm like, no, call me Miss Marquise or Marquise, not trying to down first lady, but all the stories of the first lady, please do not put me in that category. And again, I go back to where I came from, like only lady. I don't want to be first lady. I'm not that. I'm his wife.
I like that. Only lady. That's what I'm talking about.
So.
Wow.
And I didn't ask for this. Like he was saying, somebody invited me to church. I didn't want to. Church, yeah, right. That was the last.
I got a fight to handle on Colfax Street.
Yes, so I just was there for the first.
I know.
Couple, maybe years, maybe months, years. We kept saying, ew, like, how we, ooh. Like we would laugh about it because a friend stepped in, like, I don't even like you, like, and it just fell in place. Things still happen, but I have his back. How I'm rubbing his back, I have his back. I'm his wife. So.
Good for you. One thing I love that both of you all said, in your own way, you don't get caught up in the title stuff, because I don't get that at all. I don't understand it. I don't even like for people to say to me, Sister Sherla. Sister is a nun, and I'm not a nun. I'm Sherla. So I don't get caught up into all that. And I think that the church has just become this place where if we don't get it together, the world is never going to come in because they already feel they have to look a certain way, they have to act a certain way, they have to dress a certain way. Now you got to talk a certain talk. Like, come on. Half the time I don't want to go.
Well, I got a question. Why do you think the church changed like that? I don't go to church like you guys do. Like, when did it change, and why do you think it changed like that? That became a fashion show, and this one's talking about this one is just
It's always
messy.
been like that. It's
Has it?
always been. I just think so. When we were growing up, we probably didn't notice it as much because we were younger. But then, and I can only speak for myself, as I got older, and then all of a sudden you have these mothers in the church, and then their husbands appear from like, and I'm like, what? I'm 22 years old. I never knew they had a husband. Where these people come from? And oh yeah, well, this preacher ran off with that deacon's wife, and they were somewhere for years. But now, they're getting older, and now they want to make things right before they go home to be with the Lord. So it's like it's always gone on. They just hid it from us, so they think. But I observed a
I
lot.
blame the leaders because
Yeah.
the leaders, if they really hear the voice of God and understand what God is always doing, what God does really makes no sense sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's when I know God's really in something, and it don't make no sense. You're trying to figure it out. You can't figure God out. You know what I mean? But all the stuff I've been through in life, can't nobody tell me God's not real. Can't nobody.
You definitely there was definitely purpose for your life. All that you've been through, being shot, then being sick at death's door, basically being left alone. Thank God for your wife. And one person you mentioned a couple of times, Dennis. Dennis went with you from the streets to where you are now. That's a friend. And it goes to show that he saw something about your life, not only in the street, but when you turned your life around, that made him be like, you know what? I want what he has. That says a lot. Because most people, when they come out of the street, their friends are not coming with them.
Yeah, does any of your friends from the past come to church?
No. They'll come like if I have a birthday party or something like that. But they got this thing in their mind like, I ain't stepping in there. God ain't getting me. Even though they know that's
He
not
can
what
get
it
you
says.
anywhere.
Yeah, he can. But they know, like, I think they just keep it real like the streets. If I'm going to be about it, I'm doing it. I ain't playing with it.
And I have more respect for them because they're not hypocrites. Church is full of hypocrites.
Yeah, full of judgmental people, and I'm just like I work for the Nonviolence Institute. I'm a victim advocate there. I respond to all the murders, shootings, stabbings in the hospital. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, that's what I do. People say, you're a pastor. I said, okay, that's being a pastor. That's giving back to the community.
But you wasn't always a pastor.
Yeah, and I don't work for the church. You know what I mean? And so, I enjoy what I do. You know what I mean? And it's like I get to speak life to people. You know what I mean? I was at the hospital earlier. Guy got beat down bad. But street knowledge lets you know what really happened.
Yeah.
You just told me one whole story. Now let me tell you the story. Just by looking at your fingertips, let me tell you the story. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's different. It's just different. You know what I mean? And also I'm a part of a Restoration Church, North Providence, Pastor Tony Palo. People say, would you link up with him for money? This and I said, I don't need no money. Like, my relationship was on him was like based on, he sees something in me that he wants to connect to. We have a straight connection. He's born and raised he's in the Bronx. He's straight Puerto Rican. His pictures, you'll say, oh, I know what he used to do. Military dude. And the dude, what he did for me was let me help you build a platform. Let me help you. Their whole church came in and remodeled my whole church in one day. Put TVs up and everything. Said, for where you're going, you need to do this, and this, and this. You know what I mean? I could have did that, but then it's like, everybody wants TVs hanging in their church for what? What we doing?
Showing off.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like, my relationship with him is powerful. He has a ministry called Married for Life. And it's dudes all over the country with his wife helping marriages. You know what I mean? And he's who he is. You know what I mean? And people want this covering, but they want it for what? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we don't need a covering if you got God, you know, because how much more God do they got than you have?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one God. We serving the same God. He can, the same answer he has for you, the same answer he has for me.
Right.
And it's like a nonprofit organization. You want to get money. You want philanthropists to give you $1 million, but you're not connected to nobody. So I said, why are we going to give you $1 million? What you going to do with it? But when you say, hey, I got 3 other organizations that's with me, and this is our plan. Now it's okay. I see the plan. I see the vision. Let's give them $1 million, because you can't do nothing alone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I enjoy my I've been connected to pastors. I ain't got nothing bad to say about them. But I'm in a new season now. I'm where I need to be, you know.
I got a question. You think there's pastors out there that got some bad to say about you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Plenty. But they don't have no proof. You know, I think a lot of pastors, like, you know, oh, you're a gangster preacher. What is a gangster preacher? I want to know what that is. Why? Because I preach in Timbs, I preach in Jordans, I preach in Air Force. I'm a gangster. I don't feel like wearing no stupid suit.
The sweat it out.
Big old 3-piece suit on for what? Yeah, I didn't come to church for fashion.
Yeah, you can give
You
the
know.
word and anything.
Yeah, I talked to a brother at the Culture Fest, and he was like, "What I like about you is you're just normal, you know, and you paid your dues to where you can wear what you want to wear. Everybody know that's Pastor Sherrod. They know he's the same way. He ain't never changed. You know what I mean? And even where I was, Culture Fest, I preached there. Sunday morning, I did a 10 to 11, and I literally did 10 to 11. 5 people said, I want God in my life. And then they said, how do we open up a church here? At least once a month.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Based off just John 3:16. That's all I talked about. The basics. You know, you don't need to be no Bible scholar to tell somebody that God's good. You know what I mean? And they want you to go to Bible school. Oh, you ain't got no degree. Oh, no, you ain't called. What's a piece of paper? What is a piece of paper?
A piece of paper.
That's it.
And that's the difference between you and a lot of the leaders here in Rhode Island. Because when I was on my way here this evening, I thought about, you know what? Apostle Sherrod will be at the PVD Fest. He'll be here. He'll be there. He's always out and about. These leaders that only know the pulpit, shame on them.
Yeah.
They missed it.
Yeah.
They missed it.
And I respect the older preachers. I don't expect them to see them at certain things, but I expect to see a member there. Somebody got to be representing the church. You know what I mean? They're like, Pastor, you sitting through all this weed smoking, this hip hop. I said, well, I burned my brains out when I was in the streets. There's a little bit left in there. So the little bit of extra weed in the air ain't gonna kill me. You know
And you
what
know,
I
they're
mean?
using it for medicinal reasons now.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I mean? It's legal. So is it sin? It's legal now. So now all the saints getting a card. That's what watch.
Yeah.
The saints gonna be in church high.
Yeah.
You watch.
Church may get better real
It
soon.
might get real better. It's gonna fill up. You know, they're gonna be preaching and telling jokes. Yeah, it's gonna change the game. You know, but you know, I was at a point where, you know what I'm saying, and somebody was like, oh, you know, Pastor Rob be doing edibles, right? This was a rumor going on around about me. I said, well, you can ask me myself, all right? So, being in the hospital, dilaudid 3 times a day. Dilaudid is no joke, okay? And given oxycodone 3 times a day on top of dilaudid. They made me a junkie. So my primary doctor said, if you take edibles, your body will go back to its regular self. I thought, like, weed? He said, you're taking oxy? That's a heavy drug. They sell it on the street for other reasons. So I was like, there's no way. So I tried to go cold turkey. My wife would try to go cold turkey and oxy. I was sick as a dog, throwing up like a real junkie. So I went back to the doctor. The doctor said, try the edible. I said, I'm a man of God. He said, yeah, a man of God that takes oxy. You know what I'm saying? He was like, he said, what you want to do? Stay addicted? You want to die? What you want to do? So I said, okay. He said, you take the edible and watch what happens. I took edibles for 3 days and totally didn't need nothing else.
Kind of just weeded you off it?
When I say it took me completely off it, then it was like, now we got you off that addiction. we're gonna get you weight loss surgery. We know you don't want weight loss surgery, but if you don't get weight loss surgery, tell your kids you ain't got much time to live. Tell your wife same thing. Your blood sugar would not go under 347. I fasted, drank water, never budged. Sick as a dog. And when I got the weight loss surgery, I was like, I can't take this either. You know what I mean? But it was just like, after a while, my body started transitioning and becoming more healthy. Now I've seen people get the weight loss surgery and gain all the weight back. You know what I mean? But I'm on a mission to watch my grandchildren get married one day.
I hear you.
You know?
Wow.
And if we ain't healthy, how we preaching the gospel?
Exactly.
You know, every area of our life should be lining up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how I look at it. You know, I go anywhere. Invite me to a party, I'm coming. I went to a party. My man that got out of prison. Man, if I was on parole, I'd violate. You know, we took a picture. We took a picture with everybody, and it was like, "Yo, erase that. Yo, we're all gonna go to jail." My wife was there. Everybody,
Can't be around no
murderers,
ex-cons.
everybody, because that's who my people was. When they see me, they respect me for who I am. You know, oh, can you pray over the food? Yeah, I pray over the food. You know what I mean? Can you preach the funeral? I preach the funeral. You know, and so I'm known for going places and being who I am. You know.
I gotta say something. I've known Sherrod a long time, but we've never ever had a conversation ever. I've probably known you how long?
Like 35 years.
Never had a conversation. We have a mutual friend in Dennis, but I have I look at you totally different now because your story is just amazing. Like it's just crazy. Like I'm proud of you, man. Like you came a long way because when I found you was a pastor, I said he's a pastor.
Just like what everybody else does.
Because I know how he ran.
But we would expect that from you.
Yeah.
But I don't expect that from people in the church.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I was accused of pushing
I was like,
guns and everything with open
said,
arms van. I was accused of everything.
I was like, he's a pastor?
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
But and his story is amazing. Like
I got the chief of police, the mayor, the governor.
we never said one word
Everybody's
to
on
each other,
speed dial.
ever. In 35 years, it might have been like this. What's up?
Yeah.
And we have a
And I used to
mutual
look at him
friend.
and say, he's a quiet baller. He's a quiet baller. And we always play, nah, he's cool, we ain't gonna bother him. But we used to rob people. But there's certain people you just gotta respect for. And you don't let me hear somebody trying to get at him, because we'll get them. And he'll never even know. That's how we was. You know what I mean?
His name out there rang.
You had a dude out there
name rang
running
bells
around,
out there.
running around doing stuff to people, man. We'll remove the dude, you know what I mean, because of the stuff he was doing to our community. We wasn't troublemakers, but if you brought any type of noise, we knew how to silence it.
Well, look what God has done. Mastermind is he, because we don't do those things anymore. But nah, your story is amazing. I am so elated that you agreed to come and do this with us and for us. As Corey gave you the handshake, but it's like, yo, I just have a newfound respect for you. Like I don't even know what to say. I'm really speechless. Like your story is just amazing, and I really do believe it is going to help others out there. So as we're going to wrap this up,
Well,
do you
now
have
I want to come here and preach.
Well, so
I'm
we're
gonna come
getting
to his
ready
church.
we're getting
Okay.
ready to get his information so he can tell the people where he can be found at. But I have to say congratulations too, because when I went to your church a couple of weeks ago, because I like to personally invite my guests to come on, and I didn't realize it was a special occasion. Do you want to shed light onto what that was?
People thought I was being ordained an apostle. I already did that, and I had to make that clear with a couple people. What it is, Pastor Tony has a network called Equipping for Life. This guy, he goes all around the country helping pastors that are struggling get back on their feet, pastors that have lost everything, you know, and he decided to make me one of his pastors in there, you know, that can do seminars, do different things and stuff like that. And he has at least 60 pastors right now. Like, that thing's about to take off like crazy, you know. I don't even know what I got myself into. You know, I did it because to me he's genuine, you know, and a lot of dudes ain't genuine, you know. And that's why I'm like, I'll do it, you know. But yeah, you're welcome to come any Sunday.
I'm definitely gonna come.
Yeah, well, just to hear him talk that Sunday, you could tell he definitely has mad love for you and your family.
Yeah.
And I love the part in the end where he had his wife and his children surround you, your wife and your children, and that family prayer like that. That was really nice. But
What I do like is the fact that all 6 of my children love God. You know, and I don't say my wife's children, they're my children. They love me, they respect me. You know, they do anything for me. My grandchildren, I love them all. Everybody's biological to me. You know what I mean? And they all are gifted. Like, we could really do something huge with all 6 of them in every area of ministry, you know. And it's just amazing how God does things. You know what I mean? People like, I seen your daughter over there. Okay. You know your daughter was at the party? Yep. Like, they call themselves telling on it. Like, it's tough being a preacher's kid, only because the hypocrites got something to say.
all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, and I tell some people, mind your business.
Right.
Like, they're trying to find themselves. My kids, all my kids are in their 20s, except for Kyrell and Makai. You know, but you know, leave my kids alone. Family first.
Absolutely.
Marriage, family, ministry. That's how I roll. I ain't put no church before my family. Period.
I hear you. Well, thank you again for, agreeing to do this with us. And like I said earlier, I'm just ecstatic. Like, awesome story. That it's time for it to be heard. And I'm believing that people are going to hear it and want to do something about changing their own lives. Because just like God did it for you, he can do it for them.
Yeah.
It's all about when you get to that point where I'm tired of where I am and I'm ready for a change. So with that being said, drop the socials, drop the church address so people can know where to find you.
Let her do
It's
it.
not on.
Your mic, I heard you talk.
It's on.
It's on.
So you can catch us on at Restoration Providence campus. We are 65 Narragansett Avenue. Our services are at 2:00 p.m. Social media as well, Instagram, Facebook, Restoration Providence campus, or Sherrod Jones, or myself, Keith Jones, or anybody else that goes to the church. You can contact us, message us, and like he offered the invitation to Mr. Corey. Anybody can come. If he did it for us, him, me, he can do it for you too.
I'm coming.
Absolutely. Mr. Corey, what's the social?
CLGA 208 on every social, Instagram, Facebook. That's it.
My Instagram is ms_Shurla, SHURLA. My Facebook is Shurla White. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, or you have something you would like to hear discussed and you don't feel comfortable coming and doing it yourself, you can drop us an email at ltc.otpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's ltc.otpodcast@gmail.com. We will definitely be willing to discuss something that maybe you don't feel comfortable discussing. We would not give your name. We would not say who it came from. But yeah, we want to be that venue where you can just come. We're not here to church bash. Just let me say that. We are not here to church bash. Everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has their own stories. Everybody has what they've gone through. Some people may take it as church bashing, but you know what? What was done to me may not have been done to you. But don't look at it as me trying to bash the church. It's me telling my real story. So with that being said, I just feel that we need to close out in prayer, because I really believe that this episode is going to touch someone. So I'm going to ask Apostle Sherrod to just close us out in a word of prayer.
God, we just thank you and honor you for this time. We thank you for Miss Shirley, who has been real ever since I've known her, God. We thank you for her ministry that she has to bring and shed light on ministries and on the church, God. And we just pray, Lord, that you will continue to bless what she's doing, God, Lord, and that the people that are watching are blessed, God, Lord. And we thank you for everybody that's even here in this room, God. And we just thank you that, we are generational curse breakers, and that, what we used to be, we're not no more. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.